Good morning and welcome to the Daily Brief on Big Heart 92.1 FM Asaba, the station that beats for you. I am Marvellous Akpenyi and it's a pleasure having you on another edition of your trusted newspaper review program. Every weekday from 8 a.m. to 8:25, I come here to examine the major stories making headlines across Nigeria's national newspapers. And sometimes we try to understand the issues, and as always, our review is intended to inform and stimulate your opinion. Okay, and so let's diving straight into today's headline. We'll be taking a look at headlines from The Punch, from Vanguard, The Nation, and Guardian newspapers. So starting with The Punch, we have walkout rocks house as state police bill passes. Walkout rocks house as state police bill passes. You can find that on the Punch newspaper, page 2. And also on the Punch, just underneath that headline, we have protest erupts over controversial House vote. Protest erupts over controversial House vote. And we have House Minority Caucus insists on rethink of state police bill. House Minority Caucus insists on rethink of state police bill. Also, opposition challenges state police funding plan process. Opposition challenges state police funding plan process. And that's it on that one. Still on the Punch, Tinubu expands army to 12 divisions, approves 28,000 recruits. Tinubu expands army to 12 divisions, approves 28,000 recruits. And we have 2003 poll, Obasanjo faults Asaba, accuses Atiku of impeachment plot. 2003 poll, Obasanjo faults Asaba, accuses Atiku of impeachment plot. You can find that on page 30 of the Punch newspaper. And still on, we have employers reject federal government's pension contribution hike. Employers reject federal government's pension contribution hike, and that's on page 22 of the Punch newspaper. Death toll in Zamfara farmers attack rises to 23. Death toll in Zamfara farmers attack rises to 23. You can find that on page 4 of the Punch. Enugu Air incident forces Benin Airport shut down. Enugu Air incident forces Benin Airport shut down as NSIB begins probe. Enugu Air incident. If you were on social media yesterday, you must have seen the incident of an aircraft landing in something that seemed like somewhere that seemed like a bush, and it was supposed to be going to Enugu. Departed Benin for Enugu, and that's what happened. We'll get more into that later. All right, away from that, we have the next paper this morning. The Guardian says, from primary decay to tertiary distress. From primary decay to tertiary distress, Southeast in throes of tertiary healthcare infrastructure crisis. From primary decay to tertiary distress, Southeast in throes of tertiary healthcare and infrastructure crisis. And that's what you can find on pages 4 and 5 of the Guardian. Also, presidency slams Atiku over US anti-Tinubu lobbying. Presidency slams Atiku over US anti-Tinubu lobbying, and that's on the news page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And still on the Guardian, we have 2027 election. Northeast political bloc backs Tinubu's second term bid. Northeast political bloc backs Tinubu's second term bid. And you can find that on the Guardian newspaper, page 3. Yes, that's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And then also on the Guardian, we have Wike-led PDP reclaims Oyo Secretariat dismisses factional claims. Wike-led PDP reclaims Oyo Secretariat dismisses factional claims. And that's on the news page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. All right, still on the Guardian, we have House approves state police bill. House approves state police bill amid walkout. Includes guardrails. House approves state police bill amid walkout. Includes guardrails. And that's on page 6 of the Guardian. 2027 CSOs flag gaps as INEC assures 2023 technical glitches fixed. 2027 CSOs flag gaps as INEC assures 2023 technical glitches fixed. And we have that one also on the Guardian newspaper, page 6. And still on, we have proposed pension hike will cost job loss, business cuts, OPSN warns. Proposed pension hike will cause job loss and business cuts, OPSN warns. DSS seeks stiffer penalties for convicted abductors of Orire teachers and pupils. DSS seeks stiffer penalties for convicted abductors of Orire teachers and pupils. Tinubu expands Nigerian Army divisions personnel capacity by 28,000. Tinubu expands Nigerian Army divisions and personnel capacity by 28,000. And that's on page 30 of the Guardian. Passengers panic as Enugu Air aircraft skids off runway at Benin Airport. Passengers panic as Enugu Air aircraft skids off runway at Benin Airport. All right, and that's it on the Guardian newspaper. Let's move on to The Nation. On the cover of The Nation today, we have Presidency. Obasanjo hit Atiku for U.S. adventure and disloyalty. Presidency. Obasanjo hit Atiku for U.S. adventure and disloyalty. And it says petition to Trump undermines Nigeria's sovereignty. Ex-president says he plotted against me. That's Obasanjo saying that Atiku plotted against him. All right, and we have 3 Ansaru terrorists linked to Orire abductions get life jail. 3 Ansaru terrorists linked to Orire abductions get life jail. And we have House of Reps passes state police bill. House of Reps passes state police bill. And that's on page 3 of The Nation. Private sector gets 2.2 trillion naira facility in 30 days, says the CBN. Private sector gets 2.2 trillion naira facility in 30 days, says CBN. Oil price hits $100 per barrel. And then we have oil price hits $100 per barrel on page 7. And then we have 26,961 to get vocational training. 26,961 to get vocational training. That's on page 6 of The Nation newspaper. Tinubu expands army to 12 divisions. OK's hiring of 28,000. Tinubu expands army to 12 divisions. OK's hiring of 28,000. And we have Ilorin, Benin, Jalingo, Makurdi to host new military formations. Ilorin, Benin, Makurdi to host new military formations. Panelists at Jakande lecture seek credible polls. Panelists at Jakande lecture seek credible polls. Nigerian killed in South Africa. That's on page 26. Nigerian killed in South Africa. And away from that to the Vanguard newspaper, we have Christian killings. Nigeria hiring lobbyists to mask insecurity. That's coming from Ted Cruz. Christian killings. Nigeria hiring lobbyists to mask insecurity. Officials have created environment that facilitates violence against Christians. says Nigerian officials waged public relations campaign against critics. And Tinubu's government deceiving Nigerians over Trump's letter. That's coming from Timmy Frank, and that's on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. Obasanjo to Oshoba, I didn't deceive AD leaders in 2003. That's on page 11. I did not deceive AD leaders in 2003. That's on page 11. Court sentences 3 to life prison over Orire school kidnapping. Court sentences 3 to life prison over Orire school kidnapping. DSS to appeal judgment, says sentence not commensurate with crimes committed. DSS to appeal judgment, says sentence not commensurate with crimes committed. Life expectancy challenge, why Nigerians are dying too soon. That's coming from experts. Life expectancy challenge, why Nigerians are dying too soon. We have what life expectancy really means and why it is low, and economic pressure worsening situation, the rise of chronic diseases, a health system under pressure. Dangote refinery raises $2.5 billion in Africa's biggest private placement, and it's on page 15 of the Vanguard newspaper. State police bill, reps minority caucus walk out of plenary over alleged breach of due process. State police bill, reps minority caucus walk out of plenary over alleged breach of due process. 311 reps vote to pass bill. That's on page 8 of the Vanguard. Atiku CUPP to Tinubu, you have no business building 22.15 billion naira palaces for monarchs. Atiku CUPP to Tinubu, you have no business building 22.15 billion naira palaces for monarchs. And that's on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. And still on the Vanguard, higher fuel transport food prices underway as crude oil hits $100. Higher fuel transport food prices underway as crude oil hits $100 per barrel. That's on page 14. Tinubu okay's expansion of army divisions from 8 to 12. That's on page 8. Tinubu okay's expansion of army divisions from 8 to 12. 2027, credible polls, foundation for legitimate governance. Credible polls, foundation for legitimate governance. That's coming from Akpenyi and the NGE. That's on page 11 of the Vanguard newspaper. Well, this morning, one of the biggest stories that dominated the papers today is the passage of the State Police Bill by the House of Representatives. And we had that on the Punch, the Guardian, and the Nation newspaper. And it reported that lawmakers approved the bill despite a walkout by some members of the minority caucus, while the legislation, according to the report, it's aimed at allowing states to establish their own police services while setting conditions and safeguards to regulate their operations. And supporters of this bill argue that Nigeria's growing security challenges require policing that is closer to the local communities. And they believe that state governors and communities understand their security systems, they understand their security needs better than a centralized police system, which is normally at the federal level. However, there have also been concerns raised about possible political interference, abuse of power, and challenges of funding. Who funds the state police? Would it not be abused by the state government? And then would there not be too much political interference? Okay, so only time will definitely tell whether the state police will strengthen security or create fresh governance challenges. The House of Reps, they have passed it. We are waiting on the Senate and to see if it finally gets signed into law. Also, we got reports of Tinubu approving the army expansion. Several newspapers reported that President Bola Tinubu approved the expansion of the Nigerian army from 8 to 12 divisions and authorized the recruitment of 28,000 additional personnel. And the new divisions are expected to be located in Ilorin, Benin, Jalingo, and Makurdi. And this decision is also coming as a result of growing insecurity in parts of the country. And we might think that increasing troop strength could improve military presence in some of these vulnerable areas. But many Nigerians still insist that it's merely beyond increasing personnel. It's merely beyond having Nigerian army bases in every part of the country and all of that. It's about equipment. While you're increasing their numbers, do they have the right equipment to work? Do they have the right intelligence gathering? And then is there proper welfare and accountability? They're also equally important. So we have to put all of these in place. We also have soldiers who complain about welfare and then salaries and all of that. So it's not just about increasing the numbers. I don't think when people are hungry, they'll be able to give their best. So I believe that it's more than just increasing the numbers to adding 28,000 extra. There should also be provisions for better welfare for them. And then we talked about the Enugu aircraft incident, which was another major headline that we took this morning. According to the report, the aircraft skidded off the runway at Benin Airport after departing for Enugu. After departing Enugu, it skidded off the runway at Benin Airport. Okay. Fortunately, there were no fatalities. I saw the videos on the internet yesterday. So many of them were making videos and posting on the internet, and they were really grateful that there were no fatalities and the passengers were safely evacuated. So the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, they have begun an investigation to determine the cause of the accident and what could have happened. So the aviation safety is very important, because going to that comment section, I saw a lot how so many persons were talking about how we are bold enough as Nigerians to use aircraft operated by Nigeria, and we already understand how Nigerians don't trust systems in Nigeria, and then we get reports like this. We just hope that this is handled as soon as possible. Okay, so we also had a very interesting report this morning that talked about life expectancy in Nigeria, which is actually very concerning. Vanguard had the report that focused on health, and it said why Nigerians are dying too soon, and the report highlighted some factors that could be contributing to low life expectancy, and it listed poor health access, rising cost of treatment, hypertension and diabetes, environmental pollution, poor nutrition, road accidents, insecurity, and they also recommended regular medical checkups and healthier lifestyle and stronger investment in healthcare infrastructure. So this is very concerning. We have to take our health as seriously as possible. Okay, so that's all we'll be taking for the papers this morning. Thank you so much for choosing Big Heart 92.1 FM Asaba, the station that beats for you. And that's the end of this week's edition of the Daily Brief. We'll be back here again on Monday, same time. It's from 8 a.m. for another edition of the Daily Brief. Have a productive Friday, and as usual, more music will be coming your way this morning. Please stay with us.